He knew he wouldn't come back from that bridge, but he went because you said you'd cover him.
I didn't make it.
After listening, please subscribe, hit like, and leave a comment before the next part. January of 1968 turned Vietnam into a boiling cauldron, everything roiling from a sudden blow. No one expected to come so fast and so mercilessly. Tet is the Vietnamese New Year, a time when families should have gathered around the table, shared rice cakes, laughed under fireworks, and forgotten the war for at least one night. But for Northern troops and the Viet Cong, it became the perfect moment for a lightning offensive. Thousands of fighters surged out of jungle, tunnels, and hideouts, seizing towns, bases, bridges. Saigon burned, Hue drowned in bloody street fighting, and American soldiers who just yesterday joked in the barracks over cans of beer and letters from home suddenly found themselves in the center of a meat grinder where any second could be the last. The air was torn apart by the thunder of mortars, bursts of automatic fire, grenade blasts. The smell of gunpowder mixed with the damp rot of the tropics, sweat and blood, while the cries of the wounded merged into one endless groan. It was not just an offensive, it was a psychological blow that made even Washington wonder whether this war was worth such losses. And somewhere on the outskirts of Tan Son Nhut Air Base, in an improvised position of sandbags, barbed wire, and trenches filled with knee-deep muck, a squad from the 1st Infantry Division gathered a mix of green recruits who had never smelled real powder and veterans whose eyes were worn out by endless patrols. Private Jack Rivers, 22, from Detroit, Michigan. He was lean but solid, sharp-featured, with a close crop already gray with jungle dust and eyes that burned with a mix of stubbornness and hidden anger. Detroit to him was not the shiny downtown high-rises, but the dirty blocks on the east side, streets crowded with busted cars, factories humming at night, life as a fight for every dollar. He grew up in a big family. His mother worked an auto plant line, his father hauled cargo at the docks, and when the riots broke out in 1967, Jack was right in the middle. He did not torch stores, but he stood in the crowd when the National Guard opened fire and watched friends tossed into trucks. The draft notice arrived like a rescue from unemployment. The Army promised pay, food, a chance to break out. Better to shoot in the jungle than rot at the plant for pennies, he thought as he climbed onto the bus to the fort. In Vietnam, Jack learned the rules fast. You survive if you are quicker, slyer, if you trust no one. He kept a crumpled letter from his sister in his ruck. Brother, don't let them break you. We're waiting with new stories. But here the only stories were about death. Sergeant Bill Harper, 31, from a small farm town near Des Moines, Iowa. Broad-shouldered, calloused hands from plow and tractor, reddish hair sticking out from under his helmet, and a beard he shaved only when the mood allowed, because, in this heat, everything itches anyway. Iowa to him meant endless cornfields where the wind plays in the stalks, cows grazing at dawn, and evenings of beer on the porch with neighbors talking about the harvest. Bill enlisted in 1963 after communists in Korea took his older brother. The brother came home in a zinc coffin. Somebody has to stop those red bastards before they get to our farms, he told his wife Mary before shipping out. 2 tours in Vietnam, a medal for pulling a buddy out under fire, shrapnel scars on his shoulder. Back home, 2 kids waited, a son and a daughter who mailed drawings. A tractor in a field, the son over the house. Daddy, bring us a Vietnamese hat, his daughter joked in a letter. Bill believed in duty, in the Army as a family where everyone knew his place. But when the unit started getting city boys, kids raised on asphalt, not soil, he grimaced. They don't understand discipline. They come here to play hero and break the line. The squad was dug in when the first wave of Tet hit the night black as tar, broken only by mortar flashes that lit the attackers' silhouettes in black pajamas. The Viet Cong came in waves, shouting something unintelligible, machine guns mowing everything in their path, grenades rolling into the works. Hold the perimeter, no retreat, the lieutenant yelled, but his voice drowned in the cacophony. Jack had joined the squad only 4 days earlier, still smelling of jet fuel. He gripped his M16 tight, heart pounding like a hammer. First attack, and he already tasted blood. He fired at a shape bursting from the brush, and the body dropped into the mud. Bill ran his sector from behind a wall of bags. Fire on the flank, sappers coming. He rasped into the radio, voice rough from dust and cigarettes. When Jack crawled closer, looking for a better angle, Bill cut him a glance sharp as a knife, full of distrust. "Where'd you come from, city boy?" he hissed, never lifting his eye from the sight. "Private Rivers, Sergeant." "Detroit, assigned to you," Jack answered, trying not to show how the tone grated. He'd seen farmers like this back home, slow, stubborn, certain the city was chaos without rules. Bill spat his gum into the mud. "Detroit? Ah, hell, one of those line rats who sit on a conveyor and complain about life. Listen, this ain't your coffee breaks on the plant floor. This is jungle, and if you can't hold a line proper, I'll bounce you out so you don't get real soldiers killed." The words hit like a slap. Jack clenched his jaw, anger rising. "I'm a soldier, Sergeant, no worse than your farm boys. I've already dropped 2 today, you. Maybe you just bark from the rear." Bill snorted, harsh and whistling. "Soldier, you're a fresh recruit off asphalt where machines do the work. Go home to your factories if you can't hack it. Here we need men who know real labor, not city sit-arounds waiting for someone else to carry them." He waved at the trench where the guys were firing most from farm states, from his Iowa or places like it. Jack snapped. "Labor. Your farmers think the world is fields and cows. I bent my back at the plant 12 hours while you toyed with tractors. Here I'm covering your ass, hayseed, because I know how to survive in chaos, not in your quiet nowhere." The tension flared like a spark in dry grass. The guys glanced over a chuckle here, a head shake there, but Tet left no time to brawl. The lieutenant roared. "Harper, Rivers' left flank, enemy in the paddies." Bill moved first, limping on an old wound, jerking his chin for Jack to follow. They ran the trench, rounds snapping by, muck slapping, hearts drumming with the blasts. Jack boiled inside. "This yokel thinks farmers are the elite. In the city we fight every day. They roll in to play hero." Bill's thoughts were no kinder. City punk. Walks in from an automated line and lectures us on life. My squad is discipline, not their disorder. They reached the position, a pile of bags and a fallen palm. Viet Cong crawled closer, tossing Chicom's homemade grenades. One blew close, a fragment ripped Bill's shoulder, blood spattering. "Son of a," he cursed, grabbing dirt. Jack lunged forward on instinct, covering with automatic fire. A burst, 2 attackers dropped. "Hang on, Sergeant, not your time to die," he shouted, dragging Bill into cover. Bill shoved his elbow back. "Hands off, factory boy, I'll manage." But pain bent him like a bow, and he sagged. Jack ignored him, yanked a bandage tight. "Shut up and breathe. If you check out, the squad falls apart, and I'm not babysitting your farm idiots." Bill looked at him for the first time with a flicker of surprise, still angry. Why didn't you leave me?" Jack kept firing. "Because I'm not the idiot you think, and because in the city we learn to live together, even when we hate each other." The attack broke. The enemy slipped back into the jungle, leaving bodies and the stink of burnt flesh. The squad regrouped, tended wounds, shared canteens. Night did not bring. Peace mortars thumped. The sky flickered like a storm. Later, by a scrap fire of brass and twigs, where the guys smoked last cigarettes and chewed cold rations, the tension hung like smoke. Jack sat apart, stripping his rifle, thinking of Detroit. Back home the plant is hell, but at least you know the rules. Here this farmer looks at me like I'm a slacker. Bill, arm bandaged, hobbled over with a can of beans. "Listen, Rivers, you didn't choke today. You react fast." Jack looked up, no smile. "Not for you, Sergeant. For the squad. Your farm methods are slow. In the city, everything's quicker." Bill sat despite himself, offering the can. "Quicker? What about discipline? On a farm, one wrong step, and the harvest is gone. You city boys think you can improvise everything." "Improvise? We survive without your tractors and fields. You come here because you're patriots. We come because there's no choice." Bill nodded slowly. "Maybe so, but out here we're in the same boat." Tet didn't ease. Next day, they were pushed out on patrol. The jungle whispered threats, booby traps, snipers, damp that ate through boots. Bill up front with a map, Jack with instincts honed on city streets. Wire there, Jack hissed, shoving Bill aside. The mine didn't go off, trap neutralized. Damn, you saved my hide. Don't get used to it. I just don't want your farm formation wrecking the whole op. But there was less poison in his voice. They hit an enemy outpost small, a few fighters. A firefight burst at once. Rounds pinged off wood, a grenade churned dirt. Jack drove a bayonet when his mag ran dry. Bill covered the flank. You're crazy, but effective, city boy. The squad got orders for a deep patrol. Push 5 kilometers into the green hell to check a rumored supply camp, rice, ammo, and those cursed mines that tore men apart. This isn't a stroll, the lieutenant warned, face pale from no sleep and caffeine pills. The Viet Cong know this brush better than we know our backyards. Eyes open, if you hear a rustle, shoot first. Heads nodded, but fear-flashed patrol meant distance from base, from artillery, from the birds that could lift the wounded. Just you, your buddy, your rifle, and luck as rare in this war as a cold beer on a hot day. Jack and Bill were paired. The lieutenant decided their mutual dislike would make them sharper, like anger's flame burning off jungle fog. You two are cat and dog, but together you'll live longer, he muttered, handing out maps. Jack curled his lip inside. Great, stuck with this hayseed who thinks the city is for weaklings. Bill thought the same. City hotshot who improvises everything. On the farm that creativity costs the crop. They moved at first light, fog carpeting the ground like a ghostly rug, mosquitoes swarming in clouds, biting through cloth. The squad, 12 men, walked in single file, scouts with machetes slashing vines ahead, in back a gunner with an M60 heavy as a curse. Jack carried the radio on his back, weight like a sin. Bill had the map and compass, checking every 5 minutes so they would not lose themselves in a green maze where the sun barely pierced the canopy, dabbing light on the muck. The first hours passed in tight silence, just boots crunching leaves, breathing and brush noise that could be wind or enemy. Jack walked second, city instincts cranked high. He heard every off note, spotted bent twigs, sniffed for cooking smoke. Look there, Sergeant, he whispered once, pointing to a thin wire strung between roots. Trap, likely a grenade on a trip. Bill leaned in, eyes narrowed, then nodded. Good catch. Next time don't whisper, yell if you have to. Not a compliment, but not a scold, just a fact in a world where mistakes kill. Their tension simmered like stock on low heat. On a smoke break, Jack pulled a crumpled pack Lucky Strike, base contraband. Want one? He tossed without looking. Or do your farmers roll their own? Bill took one, lit up, blew smoke into the fog. Roll our own? No, we buy the real thing. In the city, you probably smoke something fancy with a filter and a scent. Jack's mouth twitched the first smile without anger. Fancy. In Detroit, you smoke what you've got, because after a shift on the line, there's no time to choose. 12 hours by the conveyor, and you're glad for any smoke that cuts the boss yelling faster, slackers. Bill drew deep, staring at vines coiled like snakes. 12 hours. On the farm, we get up at 4, milk cows, plow to dark. No boss, only sky and soil. But at least you know who you're working for. Family, harvest. Jack snorted. Family. In the city, family is your mother coming home from the plant with blisters, and you going to a second shift to pay for bread. No sky, just stacks belching smoke. The talk cut off when the signal to move came, but the seed was planted, a crack in the wall of hostility, thin as spider silk. By noon, the jungle woke up, the sun baked through leaves, sweat-stung eyes, mosquitoes gnawed. The squad found sign, fresh boot prints, not American, and the smell of boiled rice hanging in the air. Enemy close, Bill whispered, raising a fist to halt. Rivers, you're on the radio call base, quietly. Jack tuned the set, whispering coordinates, when snap. Bill stepped on something soft under leaves, and the ground gave way. A trapped classic Vietnamese pit with sharpened bamboo stakes, covered in branches and leaves. Bill dropped, shouting in surprise, his foot catching the lip, his body falling toward the spikes. Jack reacted instantly, city reflex, drilled by street brawls and snap decisions. He lunged, grabbed Bill by the uniform collar with one hand, and clamped the other onto a tree root jutting from the side. His muscles knotted to the point of pain, neck veins roping tight. "Hold on, country boy, this isn't the time for acrobatics," he hissed through his teeth, hauling upward. Bill clutched his arm, eyes wide with terror. The stakes were barely a foot from his back, sharpened, smeared with poison or filth to rot a wound. Together they hauled him out, Jack on his back, Bill scrambling, breathing like after a marathon. "Hell, I didn't see it," Bill muttered, sitting in the muck and checking his legs, only scratches, but his heart pounded. "You pulled me out. How?" Jack caught his breath and wiped sweat from his brow. "In the city, the traps are different broken bottles in alleys, knives in the dark. Same principle. You see it, you move. Don't thank me, just don't stomp around like a bull in a china shop next time." Bill looked at him differently now, not as some city loafer, but as an equal who'd just saved his hide. The platoon came up, checked the trap, disarmed another nearby. "Good work, men," the lieutenant nodded, but Jack and Bill already knew. This was a first save they wouldn't forget. Evening found them in an ambush. The platoon set a perimeter in a small clearing, scraped shallow foxholes, posted guards. Jungle night stayed loud. Cicadas chattered like machine guns, monkeys cried far off, and the damp soaked everything, making sleep impossible. Jack and Bill shared watch 2 to 4 in the morning, sitting back to back by the machine gun, eyes on the dark. Rations were gone. They'd eaten the last cans at midday, canteens down to dregs. Jack chewed a dry hunk of ration bread, stomach rumbling like the engine of an old Ford. Bill rummaged in his pack and pulled the last bar, a chocolate one from base, wrapped in foil. "Here," he tossed half to Jack without looking. "Don't say farmers don't share. My wife packs them, says it's for energy." Jack took a bite, sweet, nutty, a taste of home. "Your wife? In Detroit, my sister would have sent cigarettes or a knife. But thanks. Didn't think you had anything but hay in that pack." Bill smiled into the dark, rare, but real. "Hey, no, that's for cows. Back home, Mary bakes an apple pie every Sunday. Kids run the yard, my boy already helps with the tractor. Says, 'Dad, when you get back, you'll teach me to shoot tin cans.'" He fell quiet, peering at the stars through the canopy. "What about you? Detroit, what's there besides factories and noise?" Jack bit again, chewing slow, like he was savoring not just chocolate, but memory. "Noise is life. Streets jammed with cars, music from windows, soul, rock, you name it. Ma sings at night while she mops to forget the ache. My old man told stories about the old South, but we were city people fighting for a spot in the sun. One time I won a fight for a bicycle not stolen, honest on a bet. My sister laughed. You're a street hero, Jack." He went quiet, listening to the jungle. "But here there are no rules, just survival." Bill nodded, keeping watch. "Survival's the farm too. Drought, a storm one season, and everything's gone. But you're right, this is worse. These yellow boys, they're like weeds, popping up everywhere." Suddenly a rustle. Both tensed, rifles up. A shape in the brush, not the enemy, a deer bolting into the dark. They exhaled and laughed, quiet and jittery. "See, your improvisation and my discipline together, it works," Bill said. The night passed without an attack, but at dawn the ambush hit. Viet Cong surfaced from a tunnel like ghosts. Grenades, rifles, screams. The platoon fired back. Chaos erupted, rounds shredded leaves. The ground kicked up. Jack covered the retreat. Bill dragged a wounded man. They fell back, lost 2, but they were alive. "You held the flank," Bill said later, wrapping his arm. "Without you, we don't make it." Jack nodded. "And you shared the chocolate. We're square." The cracks in their feud widened, not friendship, but respect forged under fire. They slogged toward base under rain, pouring like the sky meant to wash all Vietnam clean, warm, sticky, stinking of rot and distant smoke. The platoon strung out in a line, ankles in mud, rifles sagging on shoulders like tired birds, eyes hollow the emptiness after another ambush, when the adrenaline burns off and leaves only sore muscles and thoughts of the ones who won't be meeting them at home. They'd lost two yesterday, a young Texan torn in half by a grenade, and a California veteran who bled out from a neck wound while the medics tried to clamp it. Two more letters from Washington, someone muttered behind them. With deepest regret, damn mail. Jack walked up front with the radio, which now hissed static-only contact with base had died an hour back, as if the jungle had swallowed the signal. Bill moved beside him, checking his compass, his face layered in grime that made him look 10 years older. Base is 2 clicks out, he whispered. If we don't hit another trap, we'll be there by dark. Suddenly, an explosion ahead. The ground bucked like a giant's fist, and Lieutenant Kelly, leading with a machete, lifted off and came apart, ripped by a mortar shell from nowhere. Ambush! Cover! Bill roared, diving into brush and yanking Jack by the sleeve. The platoon scattered. Bullets sang, shredding leaves, screams tangled with bursts. Viet Cong burst from the trees, a dozen, maybe more in black pajamas, with axe and RPGs on their shoulders. Fire on the gunner to the right, Jack shouted, sighted, and mowed the first attacker with a burst to the chest. The body dropped, others followed. Medics yelled, "Lieutenant's gone! Commander is down!" Chaos took over, some firing, some hiding, some frozen in shock. Bill crawled to Jack behind a fallen trunk, eyes lit with resolve laced with panic. "Rivers, you hearing me? The lieutenant's gone. By time and grade, we're next. We take command, or they'll stack us like Christmas chickens." Jack exhaled, wiping blood from his face, someone else's, not his. "You're the sergeant, take it. I'm just a private, but if we don't get organized, we're done. Let's improvise your discipline, my street chaos." Bill nodded without a blink, no time to argue. "Good. You get on the radio, call for support if the net comes back. I'll place the boys. Cover the left thicker brush there." They moved like one body, as if the war had welded them together. Bill rose to a knee and bellowed, "Listen up, you bastards. I'm Harper. I've got the watch now. 2 fire teams. First with me on the right, cut down those RPG punks. Second with Rivers on the left, grenades in the brush. Don't be shy. Gunner, hold the center. Don't let them close." The men reacted, shock receded, adrenaline returned. Jack barked into the handset, "Base, this is Patrol Eagle 7. Coordinates 45-22. Under fire, Lieutenant Kia. Need artillery or evac. Fast." Static, and then a reply. "Copy, Eagle 7. Artillery in 5 minutes. Hold." The fight turned savage, like a Detroit street brawl with bullets instead of knives. Jack led his team on a flank and impromptu ambush. They dropped into a pit and lobbed grenades into the thicket where the VC hid. "Throw it, Tommy. Don't think, pull the pin and send it." Explosions ripped the green, Vietnamese screams, pain, fear. From the other side, Bill drove a counterpush. Short bursts, save your ammo. Move up 5 meters, 1, 2, fire. They advanced, cutting the enemy down, bodies thudding into muck. A Kong rushed Jack with a bayonet close fight, a fist to the face, a knife into Jack's shoulder. Jack shoved him off and finished with a point-blank shot. "Not today," he spat, wrapping the wound on the move. The guns came on time, shells toward the jungle beyond the enemy line, sent the rest scattering. The platoon gathered around a makeshift command post, a throne tree where the lieutenant and 2 more lay. "We held," Bill said, breathing hard, voice shaking with fatigue but eyes bright. "Rivers, your grenade idea saved the flank. Without it, they roll us up." Jack nodded, grinning through the grime. "And your layout was chess on a field board. Didn't think a farmer could play tactics better than a city hustler." The guys laughed, ragged but honest, slapping shoulders. "You two are like dynamite and a match," the gunner cracked. "Together, boom." They buried the dead fast bags, and a rough prayer Bill rasped out. "Lord, take their souls, and give us the strength to make it home." Then they moved for base, but the war gave no breath. Next day, another ambush, theirs this time. Jack and Bill planned it at night over a map by flashlight. "Look," Jack traced the dirt. "They run this path for water to the creek. We build a street trap, claymores across the way, and we set with the machine gun up on the rise." Bill added, "And my discipline. 2 lookouts, whistle signal. When they're in the box, we open up. No air to breathe." Perfect, Jack said. Your farmer precision, my chaos, they won't know what hit them. The ambush worked clean. A Viet Cong unit, about 20 men, loaded with rice and ammunition, walked into the kill zone at first light. Bill's whistle and the claymores ripped, hurling bodies like dolls. Fire! Jack roared, leaning on the trigger of the M60. Don't let them get up. The burst scythed the survivors, grenades finished the rest. The enemy broke, leaving cargo and dead. The platoon scooped trophies, rice, medicine, even a radio. That's a week of chow, Bill said, pleased, as he divided up. And their maps, we've got their tunnels now. Between fights on night watches or over a fire boiling stolen rice, they talked. Not like enemies, but like brothers forced by war to share everything. One night, after another firefight where Jack dragged a wounded man out under fire and Bill covered the retreat with mortar rounds from captured gear, they sat together, passing a canteen cut with trophy whiskey. Listen, Bill, Jack said, watching the flames dance in his eyes. Back home, I dreamed about my own garage. Not a factory, my own place to fix cars, radio playing soul, maybe hire kids from the block. No bosses, no line. And after the army, hell, maybe I open a bar with live music. Would you come by? First beer on me. Bill laughed deep, from the gut, first time without sarcasm. A garage? Sounds like a plan. Me, after this hell, I go back to the farm and grow it. Buy a new tractor, seed more corn, maybe start pigs. The kids will grow, the boy takes the wheel, the girl. Let her go to college, not like me with a plow in my hands. But a bar, why not? I'll roll into Detroit in my old pickup with a load of Iowa apples. You teach me to dance to that soul, and I'll teach you to milk a cow on time. Jack barked a laugh. Milk a cow? Better teach me to shoot cans with a rifle in the city. We only had bottles off rooftops. But seriously, war steals dreams, but it gives too. Without you, I wouldn't stomach this mess. Bill nodded, his voice going quiet and sore. Yeah, I lost a brother in Korea. He wrote, "Don't go, Bill. This isn't our war." I went anyway. Now I get it. War doesn't ask whose it is. It just takes. My wife writes. The kids ask why Dad doesn't call. Cuts like a knife. What about your family? Jack sighed and flicked a stick into the fire. Ma writes short, live, son, your sisters pray. My old man, he left when I was small, left debts and an empty bottle. In the city, you learn not to cry, you fight, you steal, but you hang on. Here it hurts different. You watch a kid die in your hands and think, what if I'm next? But with you, it's easier. You're an anchor, country boy, you stop me from getting swept away. Another fight, this time in the tunnels, where they dropped in together with a team, improvising with flashlights and smoke. Tet had long passed, but the fighting didn't let up. Viet Cong and the NVA clung to the citadel like with claws, and the Americans assaulted in waves, losing hundreds for every street. Jack and Bill's platoon, now a unit of about 20 men, fused by battles and losses, got orders. Break the line on the south side, seize the bridge over the canal, open the way for tanks. That bridge is the key to the citadel, the captain said at the briefing, his map stained with blood from earlier ops. The VC are dug in like ticks. But if we take that span, Hugh falls. Harper and Rivers, you lead the assault group. You've shown what you can do. Jack and Bill traded a look, no fear in their eyes, only the cold resolve forged by a brotherhood born in the jungle. Ready, Captain, Bill answered, his voice hard as steel. We'll take that damned bridge, even if we have to carry it on our backs. Jack added with a grin, or blow it and build a new one out of enemy rifles. Come on, farm boy, this is our final chord. They moved out at dawn, rain mixing with fog, streets choked with rubble, bodies, shattered motorbikes. The squad advanced slow, grenades into windows, bursts through doors, shouts of "clear" after every room. Watch the rooftops, Bill whispered, cradling an M14. Snipers love the high ground. Jack nodded, his M16 ready. I've got the alleys, always an ambush there, just like the ones back in my Detroit blocks. The fight flared by the canal. The Viet Cong met them with machine gun fire from a bunker on the bridge, mortars from the citadel, snipers from the pagoda. "Cover!" Bill roared, shoving the boys behind the wall of a ruined house. "Rivers, launcher hit that bunker." Jack took aim, fired. The blast tore into the concrete, but the enemy didn't break. The squad pushed forward yard by yard, losing men. One dropped to a bullet in the head, another to shrapnel in the gut. "Hold the line, you bastards!" Bill shouted, his voice riding over the thunder. "For the ones we buried in the jungle," Jack added. "For the bridges we won't live to see back home. Fire!" They reached the bridge, narrow, iron, raked from every side. "We cross in groups of 3, Bill commanded. "I'm first, Rivers, cover me." The first group made it, the second 2, but the third, the Viet Cong opened a hurricane of fire, DG machine guns on both flanks, grenades skittering across the asphalt. Jack ran, covering the last guy, when a round hit into the thigh, tearing muscle, pain ripping through him like an electric surge. "Ah, hell," he cried, dropping to his knees, blood pouring hot and fast. "Rivers is hit," someone yelled. "He's not getting up." Jack tried to crawl, but the leg wouldn't answer. The world tilted from blood loss. "Go, without me, take the bridge." Bill, already across, heard him, his face twisted with horror. "No, to hell with that. Nobody stays behind." He dashed back through the fire rounds, whining, pinging off the bridge's metal. One clipped his shoulder, but he never slowed. "Hang on, brother," he yelled, sprinting up, grabbing Jack by the collar. "I'm carrying you, hear me? Don't you dare give up." Jack protested weakly. "Bill, you idiot. They'll kill you. Go." But Bill heaved him up over his shoulders like a sack, breath ragged, boots slipping in blood. "Shut up, city boy. You pulled me out of that spike pit. I pull you out here. We're brothers, remember? Farm and factory together to the end." The fire grew fiercer, machine guns mowing. A grenade burst close, fragments ripping Bill's back. He staggered on, screaming through the pain, but never letting Jack go. "Almost there. Cover behind that corner. Mary's waiting, your sister." A bullet hit Sniper, perfect, straight to the chest. Bill reeled, blood spattering Jack, but he took one more step and hurled his friend into cover behind the wall before collapsing. "Bill!" Jack howled, crawling to him, hands slick with blood. "No, no, get up, farm boy." Bill smiled faintly, eyes turning glassy. "Take the bridge, brother. Tell Mary I loved the pie and you like a son." His head fell back. His breath was gone. Jack roared, not a cry, but an animal's bellow, snatching Bill's rifle and firing one-handed. "For Bill, fire, you sons of bitches." The squad stormed in, grenades into the bunker, a rush across the bridge. They took it, but at a cost. Bill dead, Jack badly wounded, 3 more fallen. Medics hauled Jack onto a litter. The helicopter clawed skyward under fire. "Stay with me, hero," the medic whispered. "You made it." In the hospital at Da Nang's surgery, morphine, dreams of jungle, a chocolate bar, laughter by a fire. Jack woke a week later, leg in a cast, the pain a dull throb, but his heart torn open. "Bill, why you and not me?" The medal came later, the Silver Star for valor, and another, posthumous, for Bill, which they handed to Jack. "Sergeant Harper saved you and the squad," the general said, voice formal and cool. "He is a hero." Jack took the metal, cold metal, Bill's name engraved. "He was more than a hero. He was my brother." Homecoming plane to the United States, the airport in Detroit, a crowd with signs, some spitting, some applauding. Jack hobbled out on crutches, medals in his pocket, eyes empty. His mother hugged him. "My son," his sister cried. He traveled to Iowa alone on an old bus, Bill's medal in his hands. The farm corn, cows, Mary on the porch with the kids. "You, Jack," she whispered, eyes red. "He wrote about you." Jack gave her the medal. "He saved me," said. "He loved the pie, and me like a son." The children clung to his legs. Mary broke down. "Stay. He would have wanted that." The summer of 2005 in Iowa was hot and quiet, like those faraway Sundays Bill used to talk about in the jungle, endless fields of corn whispering like old stories, the sun gilding the ears, the air full of fresh earth, hay, and the far-off rumble of thunder rolling along the horizon. Jack Rivers, now in his early 60s, drove the gravel road in his old pickup, the same one he bought after the war, with Detroit plates flaking from age. His hair had gone fully gray, his face lined by years in the garage where he fixed cars for neighbors, veterans, and the kids off the block, but his eyes were the same sharp, with that city slyness that once kept him alive in hue. His legs still spoke up. He limped a little after the rain, the bullet scar burning like an old friend who won't let you forget. In his shirt pocket Bill's medal, worn smooth by his fingers, and a letter from Mary. "Come, Jack. Bill Jr. is asking about his father. It's time to tell him." The Harper farm hadn't changed much. The same White House with a porch where Mary once sat with the children waiting for letters, a barn painted red, the tractors newer, but the spirit unchanged, stubborn Iowa, rooted like corn. Jack stopped at the gate, killed the engine, and froze for a beat as memories flooded him like a swell jungle, fire on the bridge, Bill across his shoulders, blood, the scream. "It's time, brother," he whispered to the metal. "I'll tell your boy how you saved a city punk." He climbed out, limping toward the porch where Mary stood older now, but with the same warm smile, laugh, and tear lines at the corners of her eyes. "Jack," she hugged him tight, the smell of apple pie drifting from the kitchen. "So many years. You look alive. Bill would be glad." Jack smiled, hugging her back. "Mary, you haven't changed. Still that same pie? Bill said you could win a war with it." She laughed softly. "For you, a slice with double filling. But first, Bill Jr.'s out in the field. He took over the farm after me. He's waiting." They walked the rose corn to the waist, sun on their backs, insects buzzing. Bill Jr., now about 40, tall like his father, red-haired, hands thick with callus cut the tractor's engine and wiped sweat from his brow. "Uncle Jack," he said as he hopped down, voice with that Iowa twang and a hint of doubt. "Mom said you'd come. It's been a long time since the funeral, I guess." Jack nodded and shook his hand firm, farmer strong. "Yes, son, since your father's funeral. But I'm not your uncle, just Jack, the one he carried through hell. Let's grab some shade, and I'll tell you the parts they don't put in letters." They sat beneath the old oak by the field, likely the same one where Bill Sr. played with his kids. Mary brought lemonade in glasses, cold, the ice chiming. Bill Jr. sat across, eyes curious but careful. "Dad wrote about you, my city brother, the guy who saved me in the jungle. But Mom says you two were enemies at first. Tell me the truth, Jack. Not the heroic version with medals. War isn't the movies." Jack took a sip, gazing toward the horizon where the sun was sinking, painting the sky orange. "The truth, it's bitter, like that Vietnamese rice we stole on ambush nights. Your father and I hated each other on sight. Me Detroit, factory floors, streets where you survive by wits and fists. Him a farmer, discipline, fields where one wrong move ruins the harvest. I figured, this farm boy thinks I'm a lazy asphalt rat. He figured, city snob improvising everything on the fly. During Tet, in Saigon's chaos, we barked like dogs. Don't get in my way, you a city boy, shut up. Farm boy, your cows don't shoot. But the jungle didn't care where you were from. First trap I pulled him from was a pit lined with bamboo stakes. He asked, why didn't you leave me? I said, because the platoon falls apart without your farmer stubbornness. Bill Jr. smiled. He wrote about a chocolate bar, said you split one during a long watch. Jack nodded, eyes wet. Yeah, he gave me half, from my wife for energy. And I told him about Detroit music, fistfights over bikes, a mother who sang through the nights. He told me about fairs, milking cows against the clock, apple pies. Come after the war, he kept saying. I'll teach you tractors, you teach me soul music. We planned ambushes, my street improvisation, his precision. We took bridges, crawled tunnels, lost boys. He became my brother not by blood, but by fire. In Hugh, the encirclement on the bridge, I was hit, leg pouring blood, yelling, go without me, and he charged back through the guns. No, brother, farm and factory together. He carried me on his shoulders, bullets singing, one in the shoulder, another in the chest. He threw me into cover. Tell Mary I loved the pie, and you like a son. He died in my hands. I took the bridge, but I lost him. Silence settled, only the wind in the corn. Bill Jr. wiped his eyes with his sleeve. I knew he was a hero, the medal, the letters. But you hated each other and became brothers. The war welded you together. Jack drew out the medal and set it in the son's palm. War is evil's son. It steals dreams and lives and leaves scars. But sometimes it fuses people stronger than blood. Your dad didn't save me for a medal, he saved me for a life. I opened a garage in Detroit, Harper and Rivers. I help vets teach street kids to work a wrench just like he dreamed with tractors. I come out every year for the fair like I promised. Do I dance to soul? Not much. But I can milk a cow slowly, and I'm trying. He gave a rough laugh. Bill Jr. closed his fingers around the medal. Stay for dinner. Pie just like Dad liked it. And teach me some of that soul. The farm could use a little music. Dinner was warm stories, laughter, tears around the table. Jack talked about the jungle. Bill Jr. talked about yields. Mary watched them. He's alive in both of you, she said. That night, Jack sat on the porch, looking up at the stars, the same ones that hung over Vietnam. Brother, he whispered, we braided our worlds together. Your farm thrives, my garage hums. The war took you, but it gave us something that doesn't end. The wind answered in the corn. Jack drove off the next day, but promised to return. The loss didn't fade, yet the truth healed a brotherhood that survived the flame, living on in fields and city streets, in hearts bound forever. Hit like, and don't forget to subscribe. The next story will be even more intense. But if you are under 18, don't even think about clicking next.